As someone who's been as high as about 30% body fat and also been as low as sub 10% body fat, one thing I can tell you is it's pretty easy to lose body fat when you're overweight, but going from an already pretty lean 15% to a shredded 10% is a completely different ballgame. So in this video, I'm going to show you what you need to do to finally lose that last stubborn belly fat. I'm going to break it down in 3 simple steps. So before I get into step 1, I have a little bit of good news, bad news about this process. And the bad news is the leaner you get, the more your body's going to guard against fat loss. This is in part because of something called adaptive thermogenesis, where your maintenance calories lowers as you lose more body fat, and basically your body is just guarding against starvation. The good news is, besides the fact that I'm gonna tell you how to get around this, is when you are this lean, every pound you lose makes a much more noticeable difference because it's a higher percentage of your total body fat. Trust me, whenever I do videos showing myself this lean, it never fails, the comments about steroids start showing up. So while it probably looks like I built a bunch of muscle while losing body fat, the truth is the muscle was already there thanks to 15 years worth of training experience. It just got displayed by losing the body fat, which brings me to step 1, the exercise side of the equation. Everything I just said makes me assume you've already been strength training because, quite frankly, it's not a body fat percentage you're looking to accomplish. It's a certain look associated with having 10% body fat. But I can confidently say, unless you have some sort of freaky genetics, you're not going to accomplish this look unless you've been strength training. And honestly, if you haven't been, it's okay. Strength training isn't just about building muscle. It's the single greatest tool there is to increase your metabolic rate and turn your body into a calorie burning machine. Yes, you burn some calories through exercise, but that's a very small part of the equation. The bigger thing is there's research that's shown your body continues to burn additional calories for up to 48 hours post training. Not to mention, the more muscle you have, the faster your metabolic rate will be. Now, that doesn't mean you shouldn't do cardio. It just shouldn't be your main focus. And while you may hear a lot about doing things like high intensity interval training and doing these brutal exercises, I actually don't recommend this. And this is for a few reasons, not the least of which is because when you're in a calorie deficit, you're getting lean, you're training hard, your energy levels are going to be much lower, and it's hard to recover from this type of training. What can happen without even realizing it is you compensate for those calories burned by being less active throughout the rest of your day because you're so tired from it. So what I prefer more than anything is lower intensity forms of exercise, especially walking, maybe incline walking on a treadmill to make a bit more of a challenge. But the nice thing about walking is it's easy to recover from. Your body preferentially uses fat to fuel lower intensity forms of exercise, so you're tapping right into those fat stores. So especially if you haven't been doing much, adding in a half hour to an hour long walk most days of the week can make a huge difference. Now, of course, you shouldn't expect to get to 10% body fat only focusing on exercise. Obviously, the nutrition side of things is extremely important, but I want to make sure you understand that extreme measures are not the answer here. Do not get overly aggressive and try to starve yourself into this result. You're just going to crash your metabolism, destroy your hormones. You're going to be much more likely to sacrifice that muscle you need. So don't expect to rush this process and crash diet your way to success. Anyway, one of the keys to your success is going to be having accountability with your nutrition. Early on in the process, if you have a lot of weight to lose, you don't need to be super dialed in, and you can probably lose pretty easily. But as you get down to this nitty gritty, you really want to make sure you know how much you're eating, that you're accurately accounting for it, making sure you're measuring your food on a food scale as much as possible, accounting for everything like condiments and cooking oils, and not taking extra bites and licks and tastes that add up, and taking some extra steps to set yourself up for success, like doing some meal prep so you have things that are easy and convenient to grab. Planning your days in advance can be super helpful so you know exactly what you're going to do the next day. And this way, when you put it all together, you know exactly what you're doing, how your body is responding to that, and you can make the necessary adjustments when you hit plateaus and keep the process working. Now, if you haven't been tracking, that's okay. What I would do is do a diet recall, and you're going to spend the next week, you're going to eat exactly the same way you've been eating, but now you're going to track it so you can see what it looks like. Now you know roughly what those calories are. But if you've been pretty stalled out, you make maybe about a 10 to 15% decrease from those calories. And especially if your protein is a bit lower, protein helps significantly, not only with fat loss, but building muscle, helping you feel full. And I recommend around 1 gram per pound of whatever your goal weight may be, at least at a minimum. I personally recommend using your current body weight, especially knowing that you're already fairly lean. And one thing you may have to do is let go of your perception of what you think too low calorie may be. So I'm not saying crash diet, like I said before, but it has less to do with your exact calorie amount and more to do with your pace of weight loss and also how you're feeling. For instance, if you have good energy levels and you're losing at a reasonable pace, low and high calories are relative to the individual. And that brings me right into step 3, and make sure you don't skip this part. It's honestly, in my opinion, even more important than the first 2 steps, and that is making sure you have plenty of patience and taking strategies to keep that adaptive thermogenesis at bay. So part of that is the pace of weight loss. So usually I say you don't want to lose much more than about 1% of your weight on average per week, but when you're getting down to this nitty gritty, that might be pushing it a bit, and you're probably gonna have a hard time losing that fast. Like when I'm 170 pounds, trying to get down to that like 165 or so like you see here, I'm not gonna be losing 1.7 pounds per week. In fact, usually I'm losing about a half a pound a week on average to make that last push. Thing is, when you're getting this lean, taking some extra strategies to help with recovery are critical to keeping your body from guarding so much against fat loss and allowing you to make the progress you want. So you can't just crush yourself expecting things to work. So recovery not only means making sure you're prioritizing things like sleep and controlling stress levels, but it also means taking some strategies to have some higher calorie days like refeeds and diet breaks where you eat at maintenance, also reducing your cardio by maybe a third to a half, and do this for a week or two. And this really helps your body let down its guard against fat loss, keep your hormones and metabolism in a better spot. Not only that, but it has mental benefits of enjoying more food, giving you better energy levels. You're going to perform better. Your muscles are going to look more full. And most people struggle to take these because they feel like it's going backwards and it's going to delay their progress, but they're the very thing that will get you where you want to be because it's going to keep the process working instead of just hitting plateaus and being stuck. Now, with all that being said, obviously, if you want to get to 10% body fat, you want to have some nice looking abs. And the thing is, most people say abs are made in the kitchen, but you know what? It's not actually true. And there is something you need to know about creating those killer abs you're looking for I didn't cover in this video. So make sure you check out this top video next, and I'll show you how to create the six-pack of your dreams.